Episode 22, take two. What have you got for us this week, Mayhem?
Semi-final Saturday. The Saints stutter. The Bluebirds rise. It's been a good weekend, and all with a sprinkling of VAR pish all over it. Morg, roll the intro.
Boom! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Football Week Podcast, episode 22. Recording this for the second time. My name is Fedden. Joined alongside me, the best sideman I could ever ask for. In fact, he makes this podcast. We got Mayhem. How are you doing, Marcus, sir?
No, in actual fact, you make the podcast.
No, you made this podcast.
OBS gets involved sometimes and deletes podcasts.
Delete.
I'm good. Like I said, when we were off air, I've just about recovered. I've had a full working day to come crashing back down. Copious amounts of alcohol to kind of settle down all the emotions that were flying around after Saturday, and got to relax and watch a bit of football without any emotion on Sunday, which just sparked a load of questions that we will delve into.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
But yeah, mate, feeling good. Yourself?
Good. Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. Especially after Saturday's football, which was again completely miraculous. The result, which we will get onto later on in today's episode. And so just to really clear things up, my microphone wasn't connected, so the setting properties didn't actually have my microphone as the chosen microphone output, so it didn't record my voice. It was basically an hour and a half of Mayhem here talking to himself whilst I was miming into a camera. But if there was a slight bit of excitement from last week's recording, it's definitely amplified 2 or 3 times more. It kicked off last week, Wednesday, where Rangers had their game in hand. Finally at Dundee, at the third time of asking. Did they get the job done? No. Drop points, which does mean that Celtic are 3 points clear at the top of the Cinch Premiership. No games in hand to worry about. But then both Glasgow teams were in Scottish Cup semi-final action. Now, Rangers managed to get the job swiftly done in 90 minutes. Celtic, sometimes it never always seems to be straightforward. They like to do things the hard way. A frantic opening 10 minutes. Aberdeen opening the scoring at Hampden Park, I believe. The semi-finals, they are indeed. 2 minutes in, thankfully Nicholas Kuhn manages to slot Celtic back on level terms on the 8th minute. James Forrest, of all people, has he still got it? Probably, kind of, not really. Put Celtic back in front. But not once, but twice, Celtic were prevented from seeing the game out. Starting off with, again, an old familiar face in the form of Junior Hoylett. And it was literally the same scenario, the same cross to the back post, and it was a minute before full time of the 90 minutes, and then the minute before full time of 120 minutes. Well, I've given you the gist of what happened. I gave you the outcome of what took place, but we're here for the main course, and that is a slice of Mayhem's in-depth analogy. Take us away, Mayhem. What took place?
Well, yeah, as a side note, like you said, Clement's Bears shite in the bed at Dens Park. The rumour, we're lucky there was Scottish Cup action this year. We could all go to Hampden because God knows Dens Park would have been waterlogged again through the tears of Bears, the 4,000 that invaded, and ultimately see their team nil point.
Nil point.
So, we was in high spirits, of course. Like you said, the game that week that they had planned on going almost being unassailable, making that last derby at Celtic Park irrelevant, because even if we were to win, we would only be certain points behind. They fucked it, you know. Almost like we could see it coming. And even though we've been poor this season, I've repeatedly said they're not great. Both teams this season have not been great, and we've embroiled ourselves in a title race, and it really is all systems go now. You know, stay stay unbeaten. Win 4 out of the last 5, draw the derby if it was needed, and we'll be champions. Obviously, the aim will be 5 out of 5 and get the job done. But yeah, veering into the absolute bedlam of Saturday, you just knew from the get go that it was going to be one of these games where Aberdeen, that have been poor all season, were bang up for it, right at it. In Miofsky, they have a super striker. It's almost like we should have identified him in January. Yeah. Don't worry about
You
it.
live and learn. You live and learn.
So yeah, he's in with 2 minutes. Great ball slightly through to him. He's running the other side of Carter Vickers. He gets in and he does what he does. God knows where Aberdeen would be. Without him this season, they would be, in my opinion, Ross County levels. That kind of scrapping, because the goals that he's provided have been invaluable for him. But they're 1 up. And that's a bang at it. They're in our faces, pressing, not letting us have time. We're struggling to build up. A mistake at the back. Kyogo nips in again. The absolute onslaught of tears from the other side of Glasgow, trying to compare it to when Dessers fouled Lager Bielka in the first derby. Completely different. And I don't know if this will reach any of the ears of the other side of the city and thinking that I'm biased. Trust me, I'm not. You'll understand why, when we get to it. But they're different incidences. Kyogo bursts through, waits far too long to
He does. Really does.
shoot. The right back gets back, Devlin, I think. But luckily for us, fortuitously, it falls to Nicholas Cooney, strokes it in 1-1. And at that point, you're like, right, we're back level. Let's just get control of the game and build. And it didn't really happen. Aberdeen were still at it. I think Liam Scowls is incredibly fortunate. He doesn't give away a penalty. I think it's one of those VAR things that if it's given, then I don't think they'll overturn it. But I don't think there's enough evidence to definitively say whether it was in or out. They've said it was outside the box. God knows, because you look at one angle and you think it's outside. You look at another one and it's inside. It's one of these 50-50 decisions that goes down to VAR, which is utter fucking madness. We've got a video assistant referee and there's still these 50-50 debatable decisions. So Liam Scales riding his luck, could easily have been a penalty. And we got away with that towards the end of the half. And we get in at half time, we're like, right, let's go in, regroup. We can come out fighting and, get the job done. And, we were still persevering with Yang. Yang. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
We've said so many. It's like he's raw and he's this and he's that. He's just not ready. I don't know if he ever will be. Look, I'm sure there is instances where someone leaves and we think they're not ready and they leave and they come back.
And we were saying this back in September, and you sort of run out of excuses for him as to whether or not is he is he really is he ready to make the next step now? And
it's just not.
It's not. No.
He was poor. Just when he's facing up against his defender is not taking them into the box. He's not committing them. Now, I've really warmed up to Nicholas Kuhn over the last couple of weeks, but he wasn't being direct enough. Always wanted to chop back onto his left foot and deliver. Never wanted to take his man to the byline.
Bloody Josh Bowler syndrome. Sounds like.
Yeah, the wingers were disappointing on the weekend. And yeah, bit of a stalemate, sort of cancelling each other out. We certainly had more control in the second half. Aberdeen certainly weren't exerting them that first half of the second half, but we wasn't really making any penetrative moves. We bring on James Forrest, and he just shows Yang this is how easy it is. He picks the ball up, drives, has a shot blocked. A couple of minutes later, picks the ball up, drive, cuts in, hits a shot in the bottom corner, making James Forrest look like prime Lionel Messi. That's how bad. That's how bad of a performance Yang was. That's how easy it was. Pick the ball up, drive, shot on target, 2-1 up. And at that point, we thought, right, you're in the lead. We've been here so many times at Hampden. Let's just tighten this up, make sure we get through this. And Aberdeen grew into the game. They made the change and brought on the other striker. And he wreaked havoc. And yeah, right at the end of the game, when we think there's a couple more attacks here, we've just got to see these out. Junior Hoylett cuts in, not enough pressure on the ball, delivers a ball to the back post. Liam Scow loses his man. He gets his head on it, and Aberdeen are into extra time. And through the first half of extra time, again, huffing and puffing, and not a great deal that's happening. And we go into the second half, and Matt O'Reilly gets his moment. I think we've spoken about Matt since January. He's been quiet since obviously the Atletico Madrid interest, and he's definitely has dipped off a bit. But he comes up with a huge goal, takes it really well. One of the times that we drive and we
right
attack
place,
the
right
byline
time as well. Yeah,
and we get to the byline, we cut it back. There's Matt in the middle, takes the goal really well. And again, you're just thinking, right, this is it now. Just buckle down and get through this. And again, Junior Hoylett gets the ball out on the left wing, cuts in, not enough pressure on him. Adam Johnson doesn't step out to him, delivers the ball to the back post. And it's deja vu. In at the back post, the exact same goal, 3-3. And at that point, it just felt flat. You just thought, God, this just isn't going to be our day. And
off to the kitchen for the Mad Dog 2020.
And then the pens come, and to a man, the first 4 penalties, dispatched, and then one of the Aberdeen players hits the post, and 5th penalty, here we go, and then Joe Hart steps up.
I'm glad you answered that question. I was thinking about, why is Joe Hart stepping up for the 5th penalty?
No,
I don't understand it.
Clue.
Was that just like a sudden ego boost from Joe Hart, you reckon?
I have no clue. But he's got the 5th penalty to win the game, hits the post, and you're just thinking, this just isn't. It just is written in the stars that we're not gonna do this. And thankfully, we end up getting over the line. Joe makes a big save.
Yeah.
He said in interviews afterwards that he felt a real responsibility after missing the pen. But look, if enough people don't put their hands up, to take the pens, then what can you do? And we got through playing, a 6 out of 10 performance, while Aberdeen were right at it. You wouldn't believe that they're in the bottom half of the split. They were bang at it, and all credit to them. It mixed in and amongst that, they should have had a penalty as well. Like I don't quite understand whether you think it's a foul or not on Alistair Johnson in the build-up when Junior Hoylett gets in front of Cameron Carter-Vickers and Cameron Carter-Vickers kicks him. The ref doesn't blow for it. The game continues on. That then happens. Like, I'm baffled as to, once you start to see it slow down, you can argue that maybe Johnson was fouled. I don't really think there's a lot in it. I think it's a coming together. Yes, he's slightly into his back, but if it was the other way around, you'd be fuming. You'd
Yeah,
be fuming.
it's one of those. Yeah,
And
if the roles are reversed, yeah, you're screaming for it.
yeah, and Aberdeen have a right to feel aggrieved there, and potentially they have a right to feel aggrieved with the Liam Scales incident. But let's not pretend that Dom Robinson's been our friend this season. All that this points out, why you have the other side of the city, and we're the exact same, of course we are. You know, any time that there's a refereeing performance that goes the way of them, then of course we get on their backs and that, and they'll do the same. Fair play. But let's not pretend that Dom Robinson's been a good ref for us this season, right? He's been utter fucking dross, as has every other cunt that steps out in black in that league, right? They're all dog shit refs. So this isn't a moment, right, to stand and say, this is again a moment to highlight and say the refereeing in this country, it is horrific. The level of officiating is disgusting. The VAR officials is pathetic. What's the point of having VAR in Scotland? It's the equivalent of giving a 3-year-old a PlayStation control who doesn't know the buttons and he has fuck all idea what he's doing. Right? This is the moment, and I know it's hard because the two big vocal voices is obviously the two Glasgow clubs. One of them is going to be saying, look at, Dom Robinson, Fenian bastard, bead rattler," what they like to do. And the other one, to ban them up, is going to be saying, it was a foul on Alistair Johnson. And that's going to be the narrative. And then what's going to filter down is, the Aberdeen fans are going to feel rightfully aggrieved, and it's going to be blocked out by all this noise. They could easily have had 2 penalties. I think one's an absolute stone waller. If you don't blow up for that foul right in that minute, how you then pull it back for it, unless someone's in your ear, and I don't know, God knows who was on VAR duty, but they were utter shite. But if that's being having to be told to you retrospectively, is it clear and obvious?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And these are the things that are regurgitated over and over and over again. So look, I think we got away with one. We didn't defend well enough in key moments of the game, towards the end of the games. We could easily have had a couple of penalties against us. I think that, again, the scales on, I think it's 50-50. It could go either way. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. You see angles from one way and angles from other way, and it looks in, it looks out. So, difficult to give. But yeah, I think the Junior Hoylett one, I would be mortified if that was a Celtic player and it wasn't given, because it was pulled back. But this isn't a moment to say Dom Robinson favours Celtic. It isn't. It's just another horrific display of Scottish officiating. I didn't watch their semi-final, so I can't comment on whether or not that.
No. All I know is that Cyril Dessers scored a brace in the game, and that was it, really.
I can't comment on what the refereeing performance was. Like in that, no idea. I didn't watch it, but across, and we'll get into this later on. But as bad as Scotland, we're normally firmly at that number 1 spot, shite ref, and I don't give a fuck what anyone says. I don't care where you listen to this from. I don't care if you are League 2, League 1, Championship, Premiership, whatever your thoughts are on your officials. Come and spend a weekend in Scotland, and you'll really respect them, unless you was in the Premier League or the FA Cup this weekend, because this weekend they're top dogs.
They're top dogs. They're top dogs indeed, and we will get onto that very shortly. But I think it was fair to say it was a very valiant performance from Aberdeen, who have had a tough season in their league campaign, but really did show up and put in a strong performance regardless. I mean, moving forward though, what do you feel, and what would you like to see Brendan Rodgers make? Is there, like, in terms of, what is there to question about individuals? What is there to question about the mentality?
Drop Liam Scales.
Yeah, because I saw that one coming.
and this isn't a witch hunt for the boy. I think he had a fantastic first half of the season. He was playing well beyond his level. He's dipped back to him playing at a higher level for him, but he dawdles on the ball too much. He's slow. He's lethargic. He's not having the same aerial presence. He's not having the same defensive dominance that he was in the first half of the season. People are getting away from him. We spent €5 million on Narowski. what the fuck has he got to do to get in the team? Because Liam Scales is literally coming back from injury, walking straight back in. So what does he have to do? But it's not a witch hunt against him. I just think for these last few games, our best defence would be the centre back pairing of Cameron Carter-Vickers and Narosky. Like, surely, well, probably not actually. I would imagine in the summer we're going in for a new centre back. We must be, because clearly Brendan doesn't want to play Narosky. He has a problem with him. But I'd love to see him come back in. That's been a big downgrade. There was a lot of people on the Cole Starfelt bandwagon that he was shite. Well, he fucking wasn't, and now we're seeing what shite is.
Be careful what you wish for, really. Yeah.
100%. Letting him run out the door for €4 million or whatever it was, £4 million, absolute steal.
Where did he go? Where did he go to again?
A Spanish club, Celta Vigo, maybe.
I was going to say Celta Vigo or like a
Real Betis, Espanyol, yeah, someone like that. Yeah, I think that change needs to be made, and I think that we need to be smart with Callum and make sure that he's back and playing at the absolute peak of his powers come the derby. That's where we've got to think about it. And then out on the wing, if we, Maeda's out for the rest of the season, so for me, it's got to be Forrest, Palmer, or Palmer, and then Kuhn. Yang is done. Even the fella,
and the way you're saying those individuals' names, you're saying it with pain.
Yeah, because Palmer's one of these stat merchants. You look at him at the end of the season, or you look back at him in 5 years, and you think, he had a decent season, because you just forget all the minutes that he just was an empty jersey for, because he popped up and scored a goal or got an assist, which I know they're big things, but he doesn't do the rest of it well enough for me. Forrest, he knows the score, but age is a factor. So we'll see. Look, Kuhn at the moment is the best winger at the club. He had a slightly off day at Hampden, a slightly off day at Ibrox, which is concerning. Two real big stages, and slightly off. I know that he scored at Hampden, but he didn't really do much else. So he's maybe got to grow into the jersey a wee bit. But yeah, there's some areas definitely in the summer, and you would hope the fact that we've been poor this season, you would hope that the board realise that what we need to do is really go out and back Brendan. Matt O'Reilly's going to leave. We're going to need someone to come in and replace him. We need, the left wing is a problem area. Even if you're keeping Nicholas Kuhn, you'd imagine Forrest probably does leave this summer, although fucking who knows. So, the left wing's to be a bit of a problem area, and centre back as well. So then there's other positions, left back, and obviously Joe Hart's leaving, so we're going to need a keeper. So there is going to be quite a fair few bodies coming in.
It's going to be a little bit of a rebuild there, isn't it?
Yeah, but let's not blow it out of proportion. We're on a good buzz, we're on a high. That's just about being kept going. We're back into league action. Just keep this rolling there, and keep the pressure on. And I think if we keep winning, then I think even if we win our next two and pile the pressure on them, I think they drop more points before the derby, and we can basically seal the title there and then. So, full steam ahead. They're in meltdown mode. They're playing for a shitty double of a League Cup and a Scottish Cup. That's what their season could boil down to. And no doubt they would try to make it out like it was some fucking kind of special season if they did a double, but they'll be hurting, because the big one, they've chucked it again, as they always do. And we're in a position now where we're in a final, but we need to do the business now and get the job done in the league. That's where the important matches are.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, obviously, you've made the cup final. From what I've read, a statistic that Brendan Rodgers has a really good record when it comes to cup finals at Hampden. So
he tends to win them.
He tends to win them indeed.
So yeah, at the moment, we a bit of a wobble and a scare, but we got through it. But yeah, it's all now. sights set, focusing because it's title time, and that's how it is across the country. Title time. You're in the championship. Title time. Guess who? Guess what happens? All right. In the Welsh capital, Cardiff City Stadium.
I didn't even talk about Cardiff on the last recording. That did not happen.
Southampton are here for title time, and well, cashing in on the just gob-stopping misses, as you can tell. The level of finishing that was on display from a former Premier League team, a team that's up the top battling, was incredible. Some great keeping, some great defending, some absolutely awful finishing, and then a sucker punch at the end. They say lightning can't strike twice. Ask Ipswich and Southampton, they may have a different story.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with all those points there, Mayhem. Yeah, I really don't know where to start. I mean, Russell Martin Saints, you just bit the bullet. That's all I can say. But, I mean, the scoreline was very generous in the favour of Cardiff. Taking into consideration that we have been a team that have been extremely poor playing at home this season. An injury crisis we were struck with as well. Missed a load of first team players, the likes of Josh Bowler, Perry Ng, Callum O'Dowda. We basically had no left backs at our disposal, and so yeah, we had to result in playing a lot of the youngsters, and I must say they really stood up and made themselves counted. I thought, honestly, the youngsters were absolutely outstanding. Now, of course, the first half was a very, very shoddy performance defensively for Cardiff. I thought going forward we weren't too bad when we got to go forward. I mean, Ollie Tanner, who was deployed as a complete... He had to occupy the entire left side. He had to track back. He had to get forward. Got a few good deliveries in. Unfortunately, there was none on the end of them. I think he managed to pick out David Turnbull with one who gets on to the end of it, but it's a very tame header, and it's a comfortable save for Alex McCarthy. But I think we really just laid down for them in the first half. I think the Joe Aribo goal was probably the one we should have avoided. We should have prevented that. But
of all the people,
I know.
And all the players and all the chances that were passed up in this match, he scores.
Yeah, I know. And I had to listen to the away end. Always believe in Joe Aribo. Yeah, horrible. And so, but yeah, no, considering they scored that goal, the chances that came afterwards, Adam Armstrong, David Brooks being the big one, where Tanner, I don't know what he tries to do. I think he just tries to hoof the ball backwards towards Ethan Horvath and expects him to have the first touch of Kevin De Bruyne, which he evidently doesn't. Yeah, the first touch went as well as we expected. Nicked the ball off of him, and David Brooks, for whatever reason, just ponders on picking his spot, and it allows Ethan Horvath the time to claw the ball from his feet. And I mean, there was no question about it not being a penalty at all. But yeah, no, they just peppered us with chances. Armstrong hitting the post as well before the goal, and honestly, there's so many that I'm probably forgetting about. But
let me tell you something. If you were playing Brentford and that performance happened, Ivan Toney's getting hooked at the end of the game and his betting account's being checked. That's how mad it looked.
I know.
It looked like
should have been a cricket score. It should have been a cricket score. That game.
When you're playing FIFA and that, and it's like someone's wee brother or something, and you don't want to be rude and thump him, right? And you're trying not to score. You go around the keeper and you're doing another step over and you're delaying the shot, and then they get back. That's what.
You're trying to do a Rabona chip over the other. Yeah, it's
just madness. I've never seen anything like it. Like I said to you before, if it was a boxing match, it would have been stopped after 2 rounds. It was an onslaught, and I had only was quite occupied on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
had only just seen the score, hadn't seen the highlights, hadn't seen any stats, and when I sat down to watch them, I was in disbelief. But you know, first half aside, obviously, second half you come out and front up, show great character. Talk us through how, after that first half, the Bluebirds have picked up yet another 3 points against a promotion battle inside.
Well, I mean, as I said, like it felt like the onslaught continued going into that second half. I think the first 10, 15 minutes, Southampton had a few more. Even Horvath makes a fantastic save with the header at the back post from, I believe it was Shea Adams or someone. And then, yeah, no, we really started to really lift our spirits. The youngsters certainly made themselves counted, as I mentioned. And it actually turns out from the first goal, every single Cardiff player actually had a touch of the ball before Famara Jeju hit the back of the net. And I must say, and again, when I'm talking about the youngsters, Raheem Conte, who again, a youngster, an attacking player, and is deployed to cover the entire right side. He's got a bomb up and down that right flank. He makes this brilliant overlapping run, gets a ball in right in the centre of the box. Yaku Meite, I mean, he slices at his finish, but fortunately enough, it finds Jeju at the back post to poke in for the equaliser. And then I think it's the matter of we've really got a chance here. We could really piss on their bonfire here, Southampton, who again, like who we've complimented so much about being under the radar, been going about their business, unlike the likes, where Leeds, Leicester, and Ipswich have dropped points here and there in the last couple of weeks. Like Southampton have been fairly consistent in that factor, and so this is the thing. Like, and they again, like, I think they still had a few more chances after that, and then step up Cardiff's next big thing to come from the academy, Cian Ashford. This is a boy that I have been touting since he was 17. He is going to be the next big thing out of that academy. Give him that chance in the first team. He made a sub appearance. He came on against Birmingham 2 weeks ago. Him and Cole cooked. They absolutely cooked. And these are two individuals who I'd love to see us, as long as we get Bulut to sign on the dotted line, which, Tan, if you're listening, fucking get it done. I've been over this weeks and weeks and weeks. Get him to sign the team, please. And yeah, Cian Ashford, he picks this ball up on the left flank from near the halfway line, really. And he just travels with it, takes a pocket shot from out of nowhere. 9 minutes added on, sixth minute we're into stoppage time. Very fortunate with the deflection, and it finds its way past Alex McCarthy, and just complete pandemonium in the canton. And it could not have happened to just honestly, of all players that I wanted to have that moment was Cian Ashford. I'm absolutely over the moon for him. It's such a shame because I don't want how the complete outcome of that game, I don't want it overshadowing the fact that it was a special moment for Cian Ashford. His friends, his family came to watch him. It was a huge goal, a massive goal for him. And I really think now we've got to drive him and Colwell. Again, Colwell, immense, completely dictated that midfield for us, and really just, again, he's just one of those special outlets that we need to just make us look a little bit better, especially going forward, because I feel like our attacking structure and our intent this season has been great. We need those special outlets in the likes of Colwell, in Ashford, when Isaac Davis comes back, when Ollie Tanner's fit. Ollie Tanner went off with a concerning calf injury at the end, so who knows if we'll see him for the rest of the season. But no, it was a magical moment, but by all means, it definitely didn't justify the scoreline with the number of mishaps that Southampton made. And to be honest, Cardiff have been Southampton in that situation multiple times. If you don't take your chances, if you're not clinical enough, you get punished. And that's just how the cookie crumbles, really.
It was incredible. I mean, I thought this would be a more damning stat from, to be honest, after watching the highlights. But their expected goals was only 2 um, for Southampton, which is shocking.
I still think they've got that wrong there.
Um,
I would have expected it to have been like 4 or 3.5 at least.
yeah, and yours was 1.9. So by XG, he was only 0.1 off them, which doesn't, again, maybe sort of paints the picture that stats aren't it sometimes. But yeah, look, at this point of the season, I think you'd asked for some of the youth to be blooded. The season's dead. You're not going up. You're not going down.
Yeah.
Give them some game time. Let them understand what it's like to play in front of a home crowd, to travel away. And really, at the moment, there's no bigger test than Southampton. They're the form team, or one of them at least, in the Championship. You were going up against a team that will go very close to promotion if they don't get it automatically, which they may not now. They'll run whoever they get in the playoffs very, very close. They're a top side. Same as Ipswich this season, that you've taken points off, and that's always the disappointing piece when you go through this and you take points off of these teams, and then you look at where you are at the end of the season and look at who you've beaten through the season, and you kind of go, well, we've done some of the hard work there, and we've thrown it away against other clubs, and there's other clubs in the league that will do that. Hull as well. Hull will look back on a really poor couple of months that have descended their season, but this was a freak win, so I don't know how much you can kind of pull from it, but it's all building blocks. But like you said, the key is consistency. The key is to continue building, and needs to be done, for me, in my opinion, under Errol Bulut. So as important as it will be to go out and push on and kick on and bring new faces in and strengthen in areas, the massive signing will be getting Errol Bulut to sign an extension.
Absolutely, and I just feel I think it was just the spirit of the youngsters playing. Like I think a lot of us of the Cardiff faithful have been, we've been crying out for certain individuals to really be given a chance in the first team, and to really see that, and obviously it did come at the account of losing certain key players, and so that's what it took. And I think that's just really the case with the Championship. It does come down to who has the more hunger to go out there and show that they want to put in 110%. And that's always going to be the case in the Championship. Like we've gone against like spirited Plymouth sides, we've gone against sides that have just been they've taken advantage of a poor run of form that we've had multiple times over the season. And we've had certain players who have just massively underperformed for us this season. The likes of Josh Bowler, didn't miss him one bit. Callum O'Dowda, who's missed a big portion of the season. Aaron Ramsey, who's missed a big portion of the season. And so, yeah, that was it. When you get into that situation when you're not fighting anything, promotion or staying up, it always feels like it's a good time to experiment with these younger players and to really try and push them and help us build those blocks and those foundations for next season. And Errol Bulut's going to be a massive key to that. Honestly, I feel it's going to come down to us finishing in a respectable position this season. So I really hope we do approach these last 2 games. I mean, obviously a little bit better than Southampton and not be peppered with 20, 30 chances on goal. But I'd like us to really show that same second half spirit going into the Borough game on Saturday, and then especially on the last day of the season against Rotherham, to rub salt into the wounds there would be brilliant. I mean, who knows? It's at the New York Stadium, and maybe piss down, we'll have to walk off at half time. Who knows? But that's just really what I want to see. And like I said, I mean, it was so refreshing to see these youngsters finally get that opportunity. The likes, like I said, Raheem Conte, Cian Ashford, Louis Giles, Ollie Tanner, who I still count as a youngster, and he's obviously, he's made a handful of appearances, scored his one and only goal on the biggest occasion, and so like I said, I think it will really come down to, because I feel like because Vincent Tan is so present at the club, he'll take everything what he sees on paper. So if it's a fine margin of finishing 12th to 8th, because I think that's the real possibilities of where we can finish this season. They could be the deciding factor of whether or not he feels that Bulut is the right man to take us forward. But unfortunately, he's not really that present, so that will be the case. And we know what Vincent Tan's like. He's a fucking mong, isn't he? So that's the best way of putting it. But no, it was, like I said, it was a very unexpected and surprising result. And honestly, to hear Russell Martin, that greasy Jack Ryland lookalike bastard, sulk in his post-match press conference, cry me a fucking river. We'll see you next season, you little weasel. So yeah, that's that really.
Yeah. And we've wrapped that up in a nice bow.
Stay tuned for more next week, boys. Right, sure. Let's transition over. I mean, actually, no, we won't transition just yet because, I mean, there was one team that we see who are heavily involved in the promotion chase for the Premier League get themselves back to winning ways over the weekend, and that was Leicester beating West Brom.
Yeah, good result from.
Yeah.
Obviously, put some outright top. Same games played, 2 points clear. I'm not sure if the Leicester fans are still calling for their manager to be sacked.
I was saying that to my mate today. Yeah.
In all my time watching football, I've never seen a stranger circumstance where you're top of the league and your fans want you to go. And I get that they've blown a very, very big lead, and they shouldn't be going into the last 3 games with any kind of jeopardy around whether or not they're going up. They shouldn't have any jeopardy around the title, let alone whether they're going up. So that's obviously disappointing, but it still baffles me that they're top of the league and there's still a fair amount of them that wants him out. But yeah, West Brom, good side this season. We've seen them put in some really, really top performances and win in difficult places and be hard to beat. So massive result for Leicester, and 3 games to go. Win all 3, done.
I think it's 3 games for some and then 2 for the rest. So, West Brom again. They're a side that have been up in that top 6 since probably I think it was about October, November. They've always been up there, and a very tough result for them to take as they've been one of the more consistent sides up there in that top 6. Thankfully, Norwich dropped points at home to Bristol City, so I don't feel they'll be under too much threat in terms of losing their playoff spot. And no, I think Corberan is I think he's been one of the more competent individuals at the helm for West Brom. So I feel he'll definitely get them back to winning ways, and I think he'll know that himself, that he'll have to move on from this past Saturday, and hopefully West Brom can approach their final 2 or 3 games and see themselves going to Wembley. Hopefully, if they do get past their first hurdle. I keep thinking that semi-finals are played at Wembley still. It's ridiculous. Like the amount of fucking semi-finals you hear in the FA Cup, Scottish Cup, always being played at a neutral stadium.
All right. Yeah, I think the playoffs are hotting up. I think realistically now, the teams in the top 6 probably could move around a little bit, but realistically, the only 2 that can catch Norwich are Hull and Coventry.
Yeah.
Will potentially catch Norwich or West Brom, depending on if things were to transpire poorly for either club. So, it makes for good viewing, hotting up. But West Brom have been solid for most of the season. Norwich have flickered between really, really good form and really poor form. So, they'll be hoping that they can continue the good form they've got going into the playoffs.
Yeah. They recovered well, Norwich, because they had a very poor start of the season and they managed to really I think they went on like a 9-game winless streak at one point.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, came at an abrupt end when they beat Cardiff at the Cardiff City Stadium, so there you go.
But I'm looking at the playoffs and I think you'd do well. If if it stays how it is now, I think you would do extremely well to pick a winner. If everyone wins their last games, Leeds in third, Southampton in fourth, West Brom in fifth, and Norwich in sixth, you'd be hard pressed, I think, to
pick a winner from those four. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
I don't know if you've heard as well. This isn't really our niche. This isn't really our topic that we delve into.
Ooh,
But
okay.
all of the financial fair play regulations that surround Leicester. Have you heard this?
I don't think I may have done, but
So basically, from how I understand it, they breached in the 22-23 season. So because they breached, they should have been in some way penalised in the 23-24 season, the one they're in. However, the EFL doesn't have the authority to issue
a points deduction.
Yeah, so they wrote to the Premier League in March, basically saying that you need to take this over and carry an investigation and dish it out. But we've seen how long these proceedings take. That it was never viable that they were going to be able to get this all done by May. So there's every chance that Leicester will be promoted and face a points deduction, and they're almost certainly going to breach for the 23-24 season that they're in now.
Oh.
So they could be promoted and be hit with, a -10, if not a wee bit more points deduction before they've even kicked the ball. Apparently, Leeds are in a very similar position as well. Leeds are probably going to breach. So these teams could be going up and being whacked with huge penalties before they've even kicked the ball.
So if they I know Leicester are going to be they're hypothetically most likely going to get promoted.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just thinking, like, if Leeds, for example, they lose in the playoffs and they have that financial fair play breach, will the points deduction would they be deducted points at the start of next season in the Championship?
Well, apparently, what the EFL and the Premier League are getting together is to find a way to mitigate those penalties for a breach in the Premier League that then falls foul onto the Championship season to be applied. So a breach would.
Oh, so it's the same with Leeds. The breach took place last season when they were a Premier League side.
So maybe they were just on the cusp, but they're expected to breach this season. So if they were to go up, then you'd have that complication. If they stay in the Championship, I think it's pretty straightforward that they would just, for the 23-24 season, they would have it taken up. If they were to get promoted, they'd be in the same position as Leicester. And this is, brings into this spiraling conversation as we watched, the points deduction derby, as it was labelled.
The points deduction derby, that's brilliant.
These clubs being hit with these sanctions and appeals going on, and them still going on. The litigation and everything that's happening in the arguments. They may be talking about, could a club argue for half a point back? We've descended into chaos. I think
it's gone mental, hasn't it? It really has.
To now be a football fan, you've got to be some kind of financial expert, economical expert. Kind of marry this all together, and have some kind of fucking degree in mathematics to be a competent football fan and understand where your club's at.
Well, I know, but then you got those odd people on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Like, I mean, there's obviously with Cardiff, and again, like, I hate giving airtime to it, but apparently Cardiff are now pursuing suing Nantes for £120 million. But then at that point, it's just like everyone on Twitter becomes a fucking lawyer all of a sudden.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's the same thing, yeah.
Same with, have you heard what Chelsea have done as well? So Chelsea have found a loophole in the financial fair play proceedings, or allegedly, because it's obviously all done with profit and loss margins. So obviously they signed all these players and expended a lot of money, and everyone kind of went, well,
Is that is it down to all of these ridiculous long contracts they've offered to these players, and then with that in place, they can pay off those transfer fees in instalments?
in part,
In
but
part,
what
okay.
the loophole, obviously that means that smaller payments spread across more years, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But what they've actually done is just sold a hotel, they've sold a property in a hotel to themselves, and then they've put those profit earnings into their profit margin. So they've sold this property through whatever mediarity, and then sold it. A group that's brought it is owned by Ted Bowley, and so
Todd Bowley must be shit hot at Monopoly.
he's basically sold it to himself, and then they've put that profit in of 100 million, and that's kind of balanced the books for this season.
Okay. Wow.
But apparently you have to apply to do these kind of things, and
Yeah.
it isn't clear whether they've applied to the Premier League to do these things. It's just mental. Like becoming, it's maybe now easier to be a drug cartel overlord than it is to be a football club owner, because you're jumping through the same money laundering fucking hoops.
I wouldn't be surprised if there is any I wouldn't be surprised if there are drug cartels taking part in any football transfer dealings whatsoever.
At this point, they'd probably run the clubs better, because they would know all the.
They most likely probably run clubs in certain areas of the world. So yeah.
But yeah, let's veer off of that. We veered on to financial fair play, and sometimes I struggle with the 9 times table, so I'm not the foremost expert to be talking about.
Yeah, we're going to go from one frustrating factor of financial fair play over to VAR. Again,
buckle up.
Buckle up. It's going to be a long ride. Where do we start, mate? Where do we really start?
Right, I want to start. Right, we're getting to all of it, because there is so much to talk about.
Too much.
So much. But I want to start with Ashley Young. I want to start with Wan-Bissaka. And I want to start with Jack Grealish. Okay. So I have played football at a very low level. I've watched football for 3 decades, and I'm now in a position where I don't understand the handball rule.
I don't know.
No clue. Because Jack Grealish won in the semi-final. I thought it was a penalty. Ashley Young's won against Nottingham Forest. I thought it was a penalty. Wan-Bissaka's I didn't think was a penalty. And apparently I got them all wrong.
But I agree with you on every single decision there.
Like, I am baffled. And the flip side of it all is that if the ref hadn't give the Wan-Bissaka one, then VAR wouldn't have overturned it and asked him to go to the monitor.
Mm-hmm.
If the ref had given the Ashley Young one and the Jack Grealish one, they wouldn't have overturned it. So, what is going? Why are you talking about this unnatural arm position and the arm being away from the body, and having an effect on play, when apparently Wan-Bissaka is a penalty when it's down by his side and the ball's probably going through to an Arna or to a Man United player to be cleared.
Yeah,
but Ashley Young's, the ball's coming back into the area. You have absolutely no idea where that one's going, and it's going into an area where there's Forest players. And Jack Grealish, his arm is out at a weird angle. Like the way he's jumped.
That's the most blatant one, isn't it? The Grealish one.
Factor in. I mean, Forest obviously come out and give a pretty scathing review via Twitter.
Yes, they did. It feels like, the admin sort of lost the plot and decided to announce on their Twitter account that they were looking to take action and seek the audio from the game.
The VAR ref was a Luton fan. I mean,
it's just like you've gone mental now.
Fucking hell.
It's kicked off, man.
But again, when I see the Rayner incident and I see that Ashley Young had kicked his foot, I don't think that was a penalty. I think the fact that he plants his foot and then goes down shows that there's an
Yeah.
error simulation to it.
Hmm.
But I thought when they slowed it down and they see that he kicked his foot, that a VAR, being VAR, was going to give that. Um, Again, I was wrong, but ironically, I think that was the right decision. It just needs to be consistently followed. That
Hmm.
if you plant your foot, clearly there wasn't enough to take your foot away, and you've then tried to simulate after the contact. But the one that is most baffling, putting aside the penalties that I have no clue, is the Hudson Odoi one. How? What more? What more does someone need to do to get a penalty? He's got in front of Ashley Young. Ashley Young has slid in, fouled him, got nowhere near the ball, and
It's appalling. It's
that.
really appalling.
Look, okay, the ref can miss it in real time. Okay, that can happen. He clearly thinks he gets the ball, but VAR has got to see that he hasn't got no in it. Just send him to the monitor. That, that's the one they should be asking for the audio on. The other two, even though I think the handball was a penalty, the other two just scrap. Right, the first one, Rayner's looking for it. Second one, all right, he's maybe a bit close to him, but the third one, what has happened
The
there?
third one's the worst. It's really, really bad. Incredible. It's so appalling. And it honestly just scrap VAR because it's not even the actual technology itself, it's the officials behind it.
It's got to the point now where you know what is going on in that room. If we can't hear right what the conversation, what's the point? So either what you need to do is you need to mic them up so that they're accountable, like they are in rugby. When something's happening and you hear a clear process about how they get to a
Yeah.
decision.
The A League have it.
Yeah, mic them up or get rid of it. There needs to be accountability, and they're not going to get rid of it. Of course not. They've pummeled far too much money into it, installed far too many cameras, and really got behind it. So there's no way that they're getting rid of it. But just there needs to be some accountability, and someone needs to be able to explain to Nottingham Forest and to every neutral that's watching that football match how Callum Hudson-Odoi is not awarded a penalty for Nottingham Forest.
No, no, exactly. And this is it. Is it really like the fact that the FA are really hiding behind two big factors, and that is incompetency and potentially corruption? Because the Hudson Odoi one, it is just complete, like, baffling is an understatement.
Yeah,
It is immoral how that was never given.
yeah. The first one you can is certainly, I think, inconsistent from the rest of the season. We've seen them given almost throughout the whole of the season that kind of contact in the box. We've seen result in penalties. Um, the handball one, of course, we've seen them given. You literally 2 hours later in a semi-final, we're seeing those given. So,
Yep.
but again, he's close to the ball, and maybe it's one that you can kind of understand. And if you're on the other boots on the other foot, you're fuming. If you're Forest, you're fuming. Of course you are. But I can't see a clear rationale as to what VAR have seen and what the referee has seen that has resulted in that not being reviewed. At the very least, if he goes over to the monitor and he watches it, slows it down, and he decides he got it right, then fair look, it's on the ref. But VAR has to send him
They
to the
have to,
monitor.
yeah, they do, and the fact they didn't do that was just, I think that really stapled in the fact that the game has just become so drastically suffocating and painful to watch.
It's yeah, and in a game,
But still not as bad as Scottish football. Remember that.
well, this weekend they definitely were. But in terms of a game that held so much importance, I mean that was
Massive
the
importance, yeah.
proverbial 6-pointer,
Yeah.
that moves Everton within touch and distance of safety and keeps Forest right there in striking distance for Burnley and for Luton, and I think Burnley play them on the last game of the season as well.
I think so. Yeah. No,
So
I think they do. Yeah.
you know, huge calls, massive calls, and now you're looking at Forest, and all this distraction that's going to come off of this, and all this Luton Town fan stuff that's been floated around. It's going to be hard to get yourself level-headed and go again. Because massive, huge games now. But yeah, to see that level of incompetence in a place that calls themselves the best league in the world, that has professional referees, that has all this money pumped into VAR, it's just shambolic.
No, it really does feel like it's going to be one of those cases that's going to slowly unravel years to come. I don't know what I don't know what is going to unravel, but I just feel something just isn't quite right in that VAR studio. I don't know what it is, but just no, it's so fishy beyond belief.
There's been so many incidences this season.
Yeah.
Tottenham, Liverpool, Newcastle, Arsenal, to name but a few. I'm sure there's plenty of other teams that could.
Mate. Like, I mean, we've come on pretty much every episode this season, and VAR has always been mentioned. Always.
It's
and
not.
If we haven't, we've chosen not to.
Yeah,
because it just becomes so repetitive, and we sit here like a pair of parrots saying how shit it is.
It's utterly crazy that is where we're at when I can't remember it being this bad when there wasn't a video assistant referee.
No, it wasn't. Like, you'd have controversy,
yeah,
but it just never got to this level where it was like, holy fucking shit, this is bad.
Because there was a wee bit of leeway. Yes, the ref used to get shit, but you remember pundits saying that with the benefit of replays, they've had to see they've only had one. That's gone now. You have all the replays.
Yeah, there is no excuse for it now,
and you're still making these shit decisions week in, week out, and we're talking about the Premier League taking points off of people and maybe trying to manufacture people's fates. You can see why Forest feel the way they feel.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Victimised.
No, I honestly, I absolutely accommodate them in this situation. It's a huge factor in that relegation scrap, and Burnley of all fucking teams look to be in the best position of getting out there at the moment, beating Luton comfortably at Kenilworth Road.
Yeah, and then needed a big performance, got it. And now they've got a couple of big games, and like I said, they finish with Forest on the weekend. I think they beat Sheffield United as well comfortably.
Oh, was it Sheffield? No, sorry, I've got mixed up. No, Burnley comfortably beat Sheffield United.
Yeah,
and Luton lost. Yeah, they lost 5-1 to Brentford. Yeah, that was it.
So they're big games towards the end of the season. It'll be a dogfight. It'll be a big scrap. But
yeah,
it'll be exciting to watch.
Absolutely, just like it will be at the other end of the table, where we saw Arsenal and Liverpool both bounce back from their defeats last week. And by all means, of course, we know that City were in FA Cup action, and so they have that game in hand over the other two. But definitely much needed from Arsenal and Liverpool to get back to winning ways.
Yeah, I thought Arsenal were in control for
For most of the game. It was one of those games where it could have been more.
Yeah, Liverpool less controlling in the first half. Klopp made some big decisions. Not starting Szoboszlai, not starting Salah, not starting Nunes, not starting McAllister. Big decisions in a game that was must win, as are all of them. But a big result.
I don't know if that was the case of that he wanted to rest them after the Atalanta game, but I mean, who knows? They were very definitely questionable decisions, as you said.
But pulls out a big performance. Diego Jota, who I think is their best striker. I think in terms of a pure finisher, he's their best striker.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, in
Um,
comparison to the other attacking options they have, yeah, Jota is the one who is definitely gonna. You feel more reliant on getting on the score sheet than others.
yeah, Gravenberch, obviously, big goal as well. And look, Liverpool have some big games coming up. They have the derby next week.
I think
The,
that's
the
Wednesday actually. I think it's
Obviously,
midweek. Yeah,
so the
yeah.
Merseyside
Arsenal, Chelsea tomorrow. Like, yeah, we've got a few big games this week. Yeah.
So, that'll be tasty. I think we'll see him return to full strength thanks to Bosley, Salah, and all those boys will come back in. But we've got the job done against Fulham. Trent, we've spoken off on here about his defensive frailties, but
yeah.
what a free kick!
It's unbelievable.
Peach.
I think there's no question about his technical ability because he's different gravy when it comes to that department.
And then so it leaves the title race in a good spot. Villa doing the business as well. Ollie Watkins with 2 assists against a Bournemouth team that again's been in good form, and that I think that tilts the Champions League massively in their favour. Tottenham have some really tough games. Tottenham still to play Liverpool, Arsenal, and City. That's a huge ask.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle for them, and especially since the Newcastle result, it looks very very bleak for them that they'll really come away with many points from those fixtures, and it's all in the favour of Aston Villa now.
Mm-hmm. And what a season, Unai Emery.
Yeah, unbelievable season. Yeah,
brilliant.
No, absolutely. I think yeah, he's probably my contender for manager of the year potentially.
Yeah, the title race that we've got means that whoever wins the league will get manager of the year because they've produced this title race. But
yeah,
I mean the job he's done is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely a valid contender to say the least.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Of course, it'll go to the likes. Either if Liverpool win it, and of course with the sentimental factor behind Jurgen Klopp leaving, most likely get it if they were to win it. Mikel Arteta, trust the process, the whole scheme behind him, and he's taken Arsenal to their first league title in nearly 20 years. Yeah, it'll go to him, or Pep Guardiola winning the Premier League with Man City four in the trot.
Yeah, 4 in a row.
Yeah.
If Liverpool win it, they'll do the double. If City win it, not only be 4 in a row, they'll potentially do the double as well because they're in the FA Cup final. Arsenal, they did fantastic to bounce back against Wolves. The real tough week with the Villa result, and then coming up short in Munich as well. They did well, but of course, the journey they've been on. I think anyone that beats Pep Guardiola and Klopp to a league title would be, I think, the outstanding candidate for manager of the year. But he's super job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking about potential of doing the double in the FA Cup. Obviously, there was Man City, Chelsea, boring as fuck. City doing what they do.
Yeah, I was literally about to say, they got the job done, but yeah, the other semi-final, Coventry and Man United.
I mean, it was a mirror image from up north. One semi-final full of drama, and you couldn't, you just didn't know what way it was going to turn next, and the other one pretty shite. Same pattern. City's pretty shite, but I had said before, I don't know if I said on the pod, but I'd definitely said to quite a few United fans, that is a lose-lose game for you. Even if you're comfortable, even if you batter on 5-0, you get no credit because it's Coventry. But if you end up having some kind of game with them, then you lose everything because of where they are. And the way that this happened, 3-0 up, cruising. What?
It was certainly not a pretty watch for United fans.
Like, what happened? Harry Maguire is playing more left back for Josh Sims' first goal. He only really enters the box as Sims is shinning that into the corner.
Yeah.
The second goal, what is Onana doing? Why does he stop and stare at it? I honestly think he could still shuffle across and save that. The ball was in the air for so long.
Yeah,
But once you look at how long he just plants and watches it
exactly.
for,
And in those sorts of aerial scenarios, you've got to be 100% committed with what decision you make. You either stay on your line or you come out for it full full throttle.
but
And he just completely just gets caught in two minds and
I think if he moves his feet well enough and shuffles back to the goal line, he can tip it over. I just don't understand why he stares at it for so long.
I don't understand it. Does he like? Is there something? Does he like misjudge the flight of the ball? Does he misjudge where if the ball's going over?
It was so
Very
strange.
bizarre goal. Very bizarre goal. And then of
And then
course, then the penalty from Hadji Wright, 95th minute.
yeah, such a harsh penalty to give. Um,
But we all wanted to see it, didn't we?
well, yeah, and then extra time. Bruno Fernandes thumps the bar,
Yeah, yeah.
and Josh Sims for good merit does the same at the same end, and then Thorpe, is it Thorpe? Whatever his name was,
Thorpe, yeah.
Thorpe, whatever it was, thinks he's won it. 4-3, last kick of the game, pandemonium. Only for his for Paddy Wright's toenail to be offside. Like, what are we getting?
It just ruins everything, doesn't it? Just fuck off. Like
The,
VAR, just bin it.
the only the only team that's happy about that, and look, I would be, of course, if you benefited. The only people that's happy about that is United. You've stolen a moment from Coventry. You've stolen the whole story of a semi-final, um, and it goes to pens. And Coventry's woes of penalty shootouts and Wembley strike again, and the severely unlucky, and Casemiro's got to be breathing such a sigh of relief because what the fuck was that? You've been pegged back 3-0 by a championship side, and you try some kind of stupid dink down the middle. What?
Ego. Complete ego. Guy thinks he's
Fucking
fucking Andrea Pirlo. And don't get me started on Anthony either. Don't get me started on Anthony either after that penalty when he's turning around giving it all that to the fucking Coventry players. Like, mate, you just fucking surrendered a 3-goal lead to a championship side.
yeah.
You
And
should be behind bars anyway, you fucking dirty rapist, you cunt. Don't care, not cutting it out. Had to say it. Someone has to say it. Can't stand him. He's an absolute
she said
fucking.
no, Anthony.
She said no.
Um, but you obviously see from how muted the celebrations were from the players. I mean, I've never in my life seen someone score a winning penalty, and Rasmus Højlund turns around and so, there's nobody here, just Ericsson slowly trotting up to him. The rest of the players have just turned to go and
Oh yes,
console.
very well done. I don't know why Ericsson sounds like Goldmember, but there you go.
But you could tell from the interviews as well. Maguire and Bruno Fernandes were embarrassed that it had got to that point.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think they made it more difficult than what Celtic did against Aberdeen. Like, sorry, like you're 3-0 up against Coventry. This is a game that you easily could have gone out in the second half. You could have tightened up at the back. You could have been disciplined for the next 45 minutes, and you wouldn't have had. You would have saved yourself 30 minutes in a penalty shootout.
Such a lack of leadership, right? So
It
in
is,
the
yeah.
70th minute, Coventry get one back. Right, that's when your leaders step up and
Like,
say, "Right,
fucking
boys,
switch on now.
this is it. We're tight. We're robust. We're hard to play against. They do not get another one." And yes, look, the goal is a freak goal, but the clip, the way the ball's just clipped out wide for Sims and him to get onto, no pressure on it, no one around him, drives, pulls it back to O'Hare, no one getting out, no one really pressing, allowed to have a
And
pot
of
shot.
all players in that Coventry side to give space, Ellis Sims. I mean, this guy's probably been Coventry's best outlet this season. I think he's done everything he can to fill the boots with Gyökeres, and he's done a fantastic job. And to
It'll
give
be
him that amount of space, that amount of mileage to run, just to travel with that ball, was criminal.
It'll be interesting, now that Coventry they've 2 games in hand on Norwich, they can, pull them back, be level on points with Hull, I think, um, and get within striking distance. Can they pick themselves up and really rally? I think they have 4 games left. Can they really rally at the end of the season to?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it'll go one way or the other. I think they'll either take that second half spirit from the game against United and really drive with it, or they'll win the first one or two and then
It's got to
go
be
and
so
do a
hard to
Southampton.
pick yourself up. Like, it's got to be so hard
Yeah, it
to,
will be. It absolutely will be.
missing out on promotion on penalties and then missing out on an FA Cup final on penalties. Mark Robbins has done an incredible job
Yeah,
there 2 years in
no,
a row.
100%, absolutely.
Um, and apparently Celtic are whispers circulating around that O'Hare that played for Coventry. I imagine after that performance, he's probably worth about 10 million, so we won't fucking buy him.
No,
But,
you won't be spending that. No.
yeah, look, they were, the FA Cup is magical. No matter what way they try and dilute it by taking away replays or whatever, there's a special magic to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was going to say what you yeah, I was going to ask for your thoughts on the replay structure being removed by the FA.
I think rounds 1 and 2 don't need a replay.
Yeah.
You could get those done and dusted. And I know
Yeah.
there'll be some arguments from, well, you're denying, someone from down in the National League North of an away day at Pride Park, and I understand that argument in essence. But do you think that Derby County fans are filling Pride Park because fucking Havant and Waterlooville are coming to town? No. So, the replay factor isn't going to be all
Yeah,
that.
it's very conflicting between,
It's
like you said,
it's
like the
all about
Championship clubs, Premier
the
League clubs, and
you know
then the ones lower down the
yeah, when,
pyramid.
when when the big clubs get involved, do you know what I mean? If you're a smaller club and you can get an away tie to United, City, once you start banking these 50,000 seater stadiums, where even if they only fill it half and there are 30,000, you're still having a massive payday. Like that's when it affects. So um, I think they could have curtailed it for some of the earlier rounds and introduce it. But ultimately, they're playing into the reason they're doing it is they're playing into they want the Premier League clubs to not have to play
Yeah,
as many.
they're playing into the hands of like your Guardiolas, your Klopps, who
Yeah.
are always just, I mean, constantly like weekly complaining about
Well,
their schedule.
they're talking about getting rid of the League Cup as well, aren't they? There's all
Hmm.
that kind of chat because of the amount of games and all this crap.
Yeah. Well, fucking serves you right for starting Kelleher in the fucking FA Cup game against Dorking Wanderers. Cry me a fucking river.
Um, so yeah, like I think in this year's FA Cup there was 2 replays. I think so. You can understand why they're looking at it,
Yeah.
but I also get you know that drama of being a League Two club and getting Newcastle and you've got them at your place and you pinch a draw and then you get to go to St James's. Like it's good, it's
Yeah.
class for the fans, but
Yeah. But I think they should definitely they should have them for the third round, the fourth round, and the fifth round, and that is it.
yeah, look, they already get rid of them. There's no
Yeah.
replays in the semi-finals and that, so they've already scrapped them at some points, which is fine. But I just think that, or maybe keep him in for round 1 and 2 because that's not going to affect the people that you've changed it for anyway.
Yeah.
That's
Or
not going to
GM for
affect.
1, 2, and 3. I mean, obviously 3 because that's when you have all the
Yeah,
Premiership teams, the Championship teams come into the pot. So
yeah, or 1, 2, 3, 4, and then scrap them
one, two,
after
three,
4.
four. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Just in case there was a giant killing, and then they get the chance to do that again, and then that's 2 extra games. I mean, in reality, how many times does a club fall foul to a replay? It doesn't really happen anymore because of the size difference and the financial difference.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's the potential impact is not great for the lower league clubs. The actual realism impact probably isn't all that different. And you're pandering to Premier League club and you're saving them maybe one game a season.
Yeah, that's really it. Yeah, it's really minuscule.
And when you save them that one potential game, which probably isn't going to happen anyway, the top four next year are going to be playing more Champions League games than ever. Do they want the Champions League scrapped? Fucking no.
No,
Um,
only play each team once.
so
Yeah, who knows? I don't know, but like you said, it could potentially change in the future. Who knows? But sorry to mention though, mate. I am running a little bit ahead of time, so we're gonna make this last final segment, and we did speak about it briefly before we went live. The El Clásico.
It's a great accent.
Is it really? I don't know. I just sounded like Manuel from Faulty Towers with a lisp.
I was going to say, sounds like some Mexican with a cleft palate.
Well, that's the last time I do that then. The El Clásico. Real Madrid Barcelona. Real Madrid won 3-2. Jude Bellingham gave it the fucking big uns at the end of the game. What were your thoughts?
Being reported like we've gone from a Mexican to live from Benidorm. Dave's out in his Reebok Classics.
Usually cut the grass with these, mate.
Yeah, Bellingham with a last minute winner. I cannot remember someone going to Real Madrid and doing so well and having such an impact on so many big games. And he does it again. And I don't really like him. I said before, I think he's a bit of a ball bag.
But he's so good, though.
He is fantastic
so
footballer.
Good. Like honestly, like he's probably in the question of being one of the top players. Yeah, he's one of the top players in the world right now.
Yeah, I think so. I think if Real Madrid, we know the story that it paints. If Real Madrid go on to win the Champions League, he'll be up for a Ballon d'Or next year.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely.
Because of his goal contributions and his involvements and the moments that he's had, he will 100% be included in that short list. But yeah, Real Madrid. Xavi's leaving. He's not fucking staying. He's leaving.
Is that official?
Yeah, he's leaving.
Oh wow, okay.
So they're in a bit of a tight spot because Madrid are as strong as they've been for.
Yeah, and they're only going to get stronger come this summer with the potential arrival of Kylian Mbappe, Endrick. I'm pretty sure I'm missing a name or two there, but they'll certainly be in the market for a marquee player.
Yeah, they're almost getting back towards Galactico era stuff again.
Absolutely, and it's scary. And I feel that where Xavi hasn't really got to. I mean, he has won the La Liga with Barcelona. He did win it last year, did he?
He won it in his first year, didn't he?
First year he won it, yeah. So unless unless there's something that's gone on behind closed doors where he isn't given the assurances that he needs to really challenge Real Madrid going forward, then who knows? Or maybe he's stepping aside as he feels he can't take them any further. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, certainly not this season. Real Madrid romping to a league title. Carlo Ancelotti.
He is, yeah. Still in the Champions League. Yep. Semi-final clash with Bayern Munich.
Which, they'll be heavy favourites for.
I really hope they beat PSG. I fucking hate PSG. Sorry, I can't stand them. I don't want them winning anything. Can't stand them. Shit club, shit city, full of shit people. Sorry, I can't stand them.
That is a damn. And I mean, PSG are up against one of the most likeable clubs in the world, Borussia Dortmund. So the fans will, I think be.
Oh, we're all Dortmund, aren't we? We're all
heavily to it. I'm not quite sure I could deal with another Bayern Munich Dortmund final that Dortmund choke though. So
I know. I remember when we watched that live together as well. It was the one. It was at Wembley, wasn't it?
Yeah, so painful. Iron Robin.
Gundogan got the equaliser, then Iron Robin scored the winner in the 88th minute. Yeah, it was crushing to watch. And then just to see Lewandowski switch clubs in the summer.
Yeah. No, it was
Oh, was it Goetze at that point? Was
Gertz.
it
Yeah,
Goetze at that point? Yeah.
'cause there's that like
Bloody hell, it
famous
was a long time ago.
that famous video, isn't there, where like Mario, Marco Reus and Lewandowski are like
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
at
yeah,
each
yeah,
other and
yeah.
they're like
Yeah, when they're
smiling.
grinning at each other.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
that was cut me deep, that one.
yeah. It did. It did.
So yeah, but I think we're all Dortmund.
We're all
Dortmund.
Dortmund, absolutely. Well, mate, I tell you what, we've got a lot of juicy footballing action to look forward to come the next couple of weeks. Next week's episode surely going to be an interesting one. But I can hear Maria groaning in the background, which definitely means if you don't wrap up right now, I'm ripping your genitals off and force feeding them down your throat. So, on that note, Mayhem, what a pleasure. Thank you for joining me this evening to record an episode where you can actually hear my voice and you're not sat there talking like a muppet.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gents, thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the Football Booth podcast, you can check out all our episodes on all audio platforms, including Spotify, Apple, and Audible. If you want to check out our live recordings where you can see our wonderful faces, head on over to YouTube at the Football Booth. Make sure to like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and ring that bell for notifications. And until next time, ladies and gents, I bid you all good night and a star.